with Direct Connect. Today we're going to be joining Spiro, the superhero of moving, from Good Greek Moving and Storage. Big yellow trucks, you see them all around. They're going nationwide. They got franchise opportunities that are out there. He invited us to come up here to join him in this podcast, and I'm super excited. Come on inside and let's see what's going on.
And good morning with the Good Greek every week here, every weekend, bringing you the best of all things Good Greek and South Florida, moving trends, real estate trends. And with that, I introduce my co-host, the Michael Ponte.
Good morning, Spiro.
Good morning, my friend. And my other lovely co-host, Stacy, Elliott.
Good morning.
Everybody's in the house still dealing with this COVID situation. But we're going to lighten things up today with another fresh perspective with another special guest, John Costelac.
Hey, how you doing, Spiro?
Never better, buddy. Well, again, that's from my point of view, not the world's. It's been better. But anyway, welcome, John. John is with Direct Connect Auto. He's a friend, similar business, right? We're in a similar type business, moving and storage and auto shipping, and you know, we experience a lot of the same things. Would you agree?
Definitely. We you move houses, we move cars.
There you go. And sometimes we, you know, the people want to move the house and the cars and the motorcycle, and that's what you take care of for us.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes we do it ourselves too, but not as often as you do.
You're always better.
No.
Whoa. Wait a minute. I'm going to stop things right here. Listen, you don't need to do anything to inflate his head to get him through the door any harder than it already is.
I don't think my head is proportionate to my body, except when you look at my picture on the truck.
Well, listen, guys.
Then you got a big head.
Yeah.
So listen, the other day I woke up Saturday morning and call Spiro. I say, Good Greek Moving and Storage, you super mover heroes. He goes, dude, I got you programmed. I said, yeah, I'm watching your commercials every day. But I said, at the end of the conversation, I said, you really, man, motivate me. And then I said, I'm getting out of bed, I'm getting my cameras, I'm getting my promotional stuff, I'm moving, and you really motivate me to do better. So the following day he sends me a text message, hey, thanks for the compliment.
Yeah, you know, I don't get that call too often, and maybe I do inspire people, maybe I don't. I don't know.
Well, you definitely inspire me.
Well, thank you, and you're a businessman, and I'm glad to do that. But,
well, no, you know what? I think what's most inspiring about what you're doing is that it's a constant. It's like the wave upon the sand. It's continuously moving. You have a program that you're following for yourself and your business, and it just continues to move forward.
Well, you know what? When you find in life what you love to do, right? And I'm not trying to use a cliche, but it's really not work to me. It's my life, it's my lifestyle, and I love it. And yeah, I'm always going to be there. 25 years now, right? And people know the Good Greek. You think about moving, you're going to call me.
The Good Greek. It's synonymous.
You may not call me for a large pepperoni pizza at 3 a.m, but I would deliver if you called.
Well, that's good because I have you in my phone as delivery guy. So I mean, what's the difference? Pizza, a house, it doesn't really matter.
No, I'm glad. Thank you for the compliment, John. That meant a lot to me, and I'm glad. But recently, and if anybody's been going to our Facebook, you'll see that I've been inspired by the way our nation has been dealing with this crisis, whether it's as real as they made it out to be. Obviously, it's very, very real to the people that were sick and have passed away. And of course, my father lost a few friends in New York, so I'm close to that issue. But at the same time, the whole planet got shut down, right? This is unprecedented. And our nation, and others too, but I think of America first, because here we are in America, really, really adhere to all the rules, regulations, whatever we had to do, and hunker down, man. And that inspired me to commemorate 3 new trucks. One called Made in America.
I saw the rollout.
Yeah, what do you think?
Let me tell you something. I don't know, it's just that I never think the truck is actually going to fit through the door when I watch the video. I'm very nervous every time, but the truck seems to, get through there just okay. But I'll tell you, the first one I thought was great. The SWAT Truck is, and I'm going to say it on the radio, badass.
Yeah. Well, the first one is, and I'll describe it. I'm not, trying to be unoriginal, but it is our American flag, draped all over our truck. And as you know, our trucks are bright yellow with Greek, and this one I did in the American flag fashion, and of course we have our logo on there. But more importantly, what I'm trying to get back to is Made in America stood for quality, strength, right? Honor, honesty. And I think we've seen the downside of things that are not made in America, okay? Including the viruses and all the masks and everything else that we needed, right? We got held hostage, which that might be the worst crime. So I think America's making a rebound, and this is not a political message. You'd be shocked as to my affiliations and how I vote and everything else. I'm all over the place. I believe in what I believe, and that's how I vote. But Made in America means that to me. So I've dedicated that truck, and then you mentioned the SWAT truck. That's the one that's closest to my heart.
Yeah.
As a former SWAT member, it's in matte black, and it's cool. And people, what are you doing with a SWAT truck in the moving business? Well, it stands for Special Wrapping and Transport.
Nice. See, I had that truck when I was a little kid. You used to pull it back, and then it had the song, and then it would say "SWAT to the rescue," and the truck would go forward. But yeah, it's that truck looks great.
Well, we just shot some new commercials focusing on these trucks, and it's funny because we did a spot like that where, the girl on the phone answers, and this is a job for SWAT. And so I'm making a play on my past, yes, but it is a salute to SWAT, and we're calling it the Special Wrapping and Transport truck. And then the third one, of course, maybe the most important one at this time, is the salute to our heroes, including doctors and medical professionals. Usually you just see cops, firemen, and
right.
But no, the first person in line on this truck was a medical professional, then of course a police officer, a fireman, and a soldier. So those are my three branded trucks that I've commemorated to all of us, really, for sticking it out this long with what's going on. And even if it's a blink of light, there is light at the end of the tunnel that we're seeing. Agreed?
Well, it looks that way, but I'll tell you, it just depends on who you're listening to on a daily basis. And the governor of our great state of Florida. And one of the things I like to point out when I have discussions with people is, years ago, way back when, probably when you were just a kid, back in the late 1700s, early 1800s,
yes.
someone stood up and said, "I'm so and so from the sovereign state of." Yeah. And I think people, we don't want to give a history lesson out there, but understanding that we are a republic and the states are separate individual sovereign states. Bound together in one nation. But the idea of Governor DeSantis, who has been taking a lot of heat as of late for how he managed Florida during this pandemic, and he got, rightfully so, I think he got a little defensive in the Oval Office the other day, and he took out his chart and he said, "Look, my state's done very well." And he's right. We have performed very well during this pandemic. Our numbers are good compared to some others. They thought Florida was going to become another epicenter like New York. And I think he's done the right thing, and I think he's about to do the right thing. And I was reading a couple articles. You look at the NCAA and the financial almost ruin that they may face if the football season doesn't happen, because the money from football for the NCAA fuels so many other things academically for the schools.
Well, look at the XFL. In and out of business.
Well, and look at, you got a processing plant that just had to humanely slaughter 2 million chickens because they've outgrown the housing facility.
Right.
And then this I don't understand, and maybe you can since you guys are in the transport business, but how is it cheaper to slaughter pork in the U.S. and then put it on a container ship, ship it to China, process it, and package it, and then ship it back?
Right.
I just don't get it.
Right. Well, do you think they're actually shipping back our pork?
Yeah. I don't know, but
or are they keeping the good stuff and sending us the two-headed one?
I don't know, but I just don't understand it. I mean, why is that a thing?
Yeah, why? Well, this is what I'm talking about. We got to bring things back here, back to America. We need to be self-reliant. We did it with the energy, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the big thing when I was growing up. If you recall, that we're so dependent on Middle East oil.
Right.
Solve that problem, Again, depends on who's in office, obviously. Some people are okay with digging, some people are not. Unless somebody else invents something better, oil is what we got,
right.
And coal, okay? But we need to bring things back to America, man. That's the bottom line. And yeah, the ironic thing is it's good Greek moving and storage, and the owner's name is Spiro Georgiadakis. It doesn't get more ethnic than that. But I'm proud to be made in America.
Well, I'm guessing you're American first and Greek always.
Well, listen, my ethnicity is Greek. We have a great history. I love my family. I love our background. But I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a New Yorker. I'm a Floridian. I'm an American.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing, right? If somebody asks, most people say, what's your nationality? And people say, oh, I'm Italian. Well, you were born in Italy? No, I was born here,
Right.
but my family's from Italy. So somehow it would be nice if we got to the point where people says, what's your nationality? I'm American.
That's right.
Instead of America just being a place, we become a nationality. We become something that we're all joined together.
It is a nationality, absolutely. The biggest melting pot on the planet. And that's what's behind the success. So why should we export that?
I agree.
All these great ideas, why export them? They started here, keep them here.
Not only that, we were also exporting steel and cement
Right.
to help build China.
Sure.
And, we were left... Iraq, yeah, and we were left with not being able to build, or we were building at a more expensive rate versus, because the supply and demand, it pimped everything up.
Well, yeah, and that's because of the war in Iraq. And we shipped all the good stuff there, and then we had to buy the Chinese stuff. The Chinese drywall and all that. We all wrote how that
That's a
went.
whole other story.
But anyways, those are my 3 commemorative new trucks. And
Spiro, not for nothing.
yes,
When I saw those things, I got chills. They were pleasantly, sparkling brand new, which was amazing. But just the message, it was bold. And as I was sitting here looking at like the SWAT truck, I was thinking like, how far is he going to take this? I mean, are the guys going to show up at a household move and they're going to get out with SWAT uniforms on next?
well, you know what? Think about it. We're doing moves now with masks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And gloves in some cases. This is unheard of. It's unprecedented times. So you know what? How about we salute the guys that wear masks every day and deal with crisis every day, 365, whether there's a COVID or not. And I was one of those guys. So
Oh, I
not
thought you were
doing it for
talking
me.
about. I thought you were talking about Batman.
Oh,
Well, they are Batman, aren't they?
yeah.
And with that, we're going to take a little break. But thank you for that, John. And we'll be right back with more Good Morning with the Good Greek. Touching on what's going on until it's over with, we're going to, I guess, have to talk about it, right? The elephant in the room, the invisible one, that is. But John, you and I are in a similar business, and I've talked on the show week after week of how our business is affected. And of course it's affected us, right? Not in a positive way. But we've embraced the situation, and using the title of my man Michael's book, we've made lemonade out of lemons. What about you, John?
Well, before we went to the commercial break, I really want to thank all the first responders, the nurses out there, firefighters, policemen that have been protecting us. I feel like
Yes.
we left some unfinished business before we went to the commercial. And those guys out there on the front line, especially the nurses, I don't think they ever signed up thinking that they were going to go work in a hospital and be stretched to the capacity that they have been stretched, especially up in New York and other parts of the country. But thank you everybody.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
back to your question, there was a dip, when we first got hit with this. There was a slight decrease in our call volume, our website visits, our organic traffic. As far as our orders that we were taking every day, we were down like about 30% at the beginning.
That's about right.
Yeah.
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 That's how everybody was affected, I would say.
Yeah.
And I was getting worried, and I called Spiro, and he's like, don't get nervous, man. Fuel is at an all-time low. We're in the trucking business. It's going to be fine. I promise you.
Yeah.
And I said, you sure? And he goes, yeah, I'm sure, man. And I said, okay, that's good. I feel good about that. Because I kept thinking about 9/11, and I remember I was a young, I'm 40 or 50 now, but I was younger then, and I remember that day that the phones completely stopped ringing.
That was
Everything.
one of the worst days of my life.
Yeah, everything just stopped. This was a little different. Everything didn't just stop. It kept rolling.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it was a slowdown, not a shutdown. Even though we've been quarantined and things, but it's a slowdown, not a shutdown. And people kept asking the same question in real estate, and people were worried about the market tanking. And just as it's happened in my office, which I'm sure right now with your business is the same thing, it quieted down. It was at least 2-3 weeks where it quieted down. The phone still rang, but definitely not as much. But now, all of a sudden, it feels like people have said, you know what? Enough. I got to get back to my life. My plans that I put on hold can't stay on hold forever, and people are starting to get out there and look again.
Yeah, exactly. But we're set up now for the greatest comeback in the history of America. So a 30% slowdown in our business, and that's our business. And to be fair, restaurants and bars and other places are devastated, right? So they're going to have a harder time coming back. But I think those that planned for the worst, okay, hurricanes, anything. I mean, who knew pandemic would be in the mix? But those that were prepared are going to be okay. Those that weren't are just going to have to dust themselves off, pick themselves up from the bootstraps, and start over. That's what entrepreneurs do. And
well, in our business, the three of us are so connected. People have plans. People are moving. Kids are going to start school, we believe, at the right time. So people are still saying, well, I was going to move for my kids to be in the right school district or a different school district. And so that's still happening. Like you're talking about with the restaurants, the food supply is a big thing that obviously has been in the news lately, and the president's talking about it, where that's a time thing. I mean, the demand from restaurants on a regular daily basis across the country, people just don't fathom how big the United States is. And when you start to look at the food supply that is just, New York, they talked to today, I was listening to CNN on the way down, and they talked to a dairy farmer in New York who had to dump 8,000 gallons of milk.
yeah, I don't know. Who knows what's true there and what's not? But you're right. And places like Florida, which is the restaurant business and the hospitality business in general is
Huge.
so dependent on the season.
Yeah.
Right. The season got killed.
Well, look at, no one's really, it was in the news in the beginning, and then it just died off in the news, and I'm really curious to see what their financial numbers look like. But
Yeah.
I can only imagine what's happened with Disney and the parks.
Oh my God.
I can only imagine what their numbers must look like. And it's not that the slowdown affects us all, but the recovery, I make the analogy that when the locomotive gets started, it takes time for it to
Right.
finally build up to big breakneck speed.
But you know what? What was the goal here? What was the goal in taking these measures?
Slow
right?
the curve, right?
Just save lives, right?
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Well, most of the deaths that occurred in New York happened in assisted living facilities or nursing homes, however they want to call them.
Right.
They were admitting people that had COVID into these homes, spreading it. In Florida, we had the least amount.
And we have
Okay.
a high percentage of elderly in the state.
Yeah, this state is an assisted living facility, okay? So to give credit to the governor,
Yeah.
okay, not only is Florida traditionally having a surplus, not upside down,
Right.
not broke, like the states that we know which ones they are, Illinois,
Sure.
California, New York, the biggest economies in the world are baroque,
Yeah.
okay? And Florida's always got a surplus. We saved lives. And is it worth it? Is it worth some financial cost? I think so. But now, let's be reasonable and let's get back to work. When the governor says it's safe to do so, and the president, everybody else.
So, John, what are you seeing as far as transport? Are you seeing, obviously, like my in-laws are here. They've been here for 3 months, and they are now, next week, this Sunday, they're going back to New York. Now, they're flying back. They didn't have a vehicle here. But are you seeing people starting to head back to the New England states?
Yes, and even to go backwards, what happened was when the whole pandemic hit, and once everybody from New York or Boston had got wind that there was going to be tight restrictions up in the Northeast, they basically said, hey, listen, I got to cancel the order going back. We're going to stay in Florida right now and let everything get handled. And plus, they were scared to get on a plane, too.
Sure.
But now, back to your question is, they are now starting to set up, their transports to get back to New York or Boston, Connecticut area. Some of them are still sitting here waiting. My mom's one of them. My mom is a snowbird, actually, that lives up by Pittsburgh. And I was asking her the other day, when do you want to go home? And she's confused right now.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah, my
doesn't
father's
know.
a snowbird too, and I asked him that question. He says, "I'm never going back." and he has a home there. He says, go there for what? I'm never going back.
Yeah,
And
might
so
as
you're no
well
longer a
wait.
snowbird at that point. The snow's melted.
So what happens? So let me ask you, how far do you transport? I mean, if I've got a car and I want to ship it somewhere, how far do you go?
Well, we service all the states, and also
You've done jobs for us from California.
yeah, we brought some cars for, I think it was one of the SWAT members from North Miami.
As a matter of fact, I was.
Yeah,
My
I
buddy
remember,
Felix. Yeah.
So, anyways, back to, we service all the states in the country, as well as we do our dealer trades and home deliveries down here in South Florida. So when a dealer sells a car to someone, they don't have to go into the store, and they're making changes too. We're starting to see the dealers do more like online transactions versus the customer coming into the store and have to sit there
Right.
for 4 or 5 hours. They want the customer to stay at home. They do the whole process online through the internet. We take the car, we drop it off, we sanitize the car, we shoot it with a spray that sanitizes the vehicle, and then it's a more of a comfort. We call it a no contact delivery.
Yeah. And you do a lot of that for car dealerships too.
Yeah, car dealerships
Yeah.
mainly.
Mainly. And,
So I want to know though, what's the most high profile or most expensive vehicle you ever transport?
Wow, that's a good question. There's a lot of them.
yeah, you do a lot of the athletes like I do.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised. A lot of the athletes just have some average cars.
Wait a minute, wait
Yeah.
a minute. You're not telling me these guys are
He's
driving
talking about
around
offensive guards.
in,
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
The quarterback.
in a Nissan Maxima.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
talking
it's
about the
just- come on.
kicker. He's got a Toyota Corolla or whatever. But no, we've hauled Bugattis, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and we've hauled Toyota Corollas. I mean, one of the most wealthiest guys in the wine business up in Chicago just has a 2003 Mercedes S-Class, and I'm like,
Classic.
why don't you get the newer car? And he's like, I love this car. It's fine.
There you go.
And he lives in the, what's it called, the Bears Club up here in Palm
Oh,
Beach.
yeah, very
That's
nice.
the
He
Michael
has-
Jordan.
Yeah,
That's nice.
he lives, it's an equity-owned golf course. He lives there, and he just drives a nice average car. So it's, we've everybody from Wayne Gretzky to Dennis Rodman to Scottie Pippen.
Whoa, what was Dennis Rodman moving? I mean, it's F-150
It was a-
2006?
You're not gonna believe this. It was a Hummer with naked ladies painted on the side of it.
No, that I would believe. I just watched the
Shocker.
30 for 30 on Rodman, so I would believe it.
That's great. All right, well, I'm glad to hear things are on the upswing, John. And for those out there that are in need to move any vehicles anywhere in the country, John, how do they get a hold of you, buddy?
Just give us a call, 1-800-980-2222.
And it's Direct Connect Auto Transport.
Yes.
Ask for John. Johnny Auto, I call him.
Yeah. Well, they coined me Johnny Flatbed a while back.
Johnny Flatbed.
Johnny Flatbed, I got that name.
I like
I like
that.
Johnny Auto.
Johnny Auto.
Flatbed, you sound like the tow guy. Nobody
Yeah,
likes the
yeah,
tow
yeah.
guys.
I
Well,
wanted-
hey, listen, sometimes you like the tow guy. When it's 2:30 in the morning, you're broken
Yes,
down.
you
That
do.
guy's your friend.
You're
Yeah.
right, you're right.
But, really quick, I need to know, is there going to be a, Good Morning with the Good Greek truck anytime soon?
Oh, I never thought about that.
How about my head and your head plastered on the side of the truck?
Jeez, I'm gonna have to find a 60-foot trailer for that one.
Well,
Did they make that, John? Most I got is a 53.
what are you trying to say?
Two big heads are better than one. I don't know.
Perfect, exactly.
That's great. All right, I'm gonna take that into consideration. Once we start saving the world one radio show at a time, then I'm gonna commemorate a truck to us. But in the meantime, let's leave it to the real superheroes out there,
Wow, all right, fine.
right?
Well, I don't know. I was looking
Just
forward
saying.
to it.
I'm sure you are. But John, thanks for being on the show. Stacy, can you say goodbye?
Have a good day.
We took up all the time. We didn't let
She's
Stacy
been
talk.
she's
today.
been very quiet today.
But she kept the room nice and bright and safe. With
Well,
her
she makes the
smile.
room pretty at least.
Of course. Anyways, we'll be back next week, every week. Good Morning with the Good Greek, and we'll keep you abreast of any good news we've got to bring, that's for sure. And hopefully we're going to change this topic. I'm tired of talking about it.
Next
But,
week, brand new topic.
Well, we'll have a brand new topic, but we still got to touch on this until it's done. And with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Good Morning with the Good Greek.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye.
All right,
That
rock
was
and roll.
awesome, man.
Good job.
I enjoyed that.
Great.
Good job.
That was natural,
That's what it